Ridley Scott's The Duellists was another film I caught a screening of lately, and I was very glad to view it again. What a gorgeous act of cinematography. The fact that this was not only Ridley Scott's feature debut, but cinematographer Frank Tidy's is bewildering. Many of the shots in this film would make the great John Alcott, who shot Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, very proud. The crowd seemed to thoroughly enjoy it. The guy who was in the cinema before me, who I tried to make brief conversation with, he certainly didn't seem to enjoy me attempting to communicate with him. Right in hell, mate. It is probably too easy to compare this film negatively to the prior Barry Lyndon, which, although Barry Lyndon is probably the superior film, almost definitely, The Duelist is a highly strung picture all its own, and is well worth viewing. And again, for a debut director, this is a spellbinding accomplishment. No one could deny that. And at 90 minutes in length, for a lavish period piece, it has no intention of outstaying its welcome. The screenplay by one Gerald Vaughan Hughes is very good. It was based off of a short story by Joseph Conrad, first published in 1908, titled The Duel. Vaughan Hughes has barely any other screenplay credits. He wrote a 1968 film called Sebastian, starring Dirk Bogarde and Susanna York, and is credited with additional writing on a film I really like, a Hammer film titled To the Devil a Daughter, directed by Peter Sykes. Whilst often not thought of as one, The Duellists could hold the honour of being the second most well-known film adaptation of Joseph Conrad's literature, and likely the second best also. There's also Hitchcock's 1936 work Sabotage, which is not often considered or remembered as a Conrad adaptation. I'm also quite fond of two film adaptations realised in the 70s, both of the same text, The Shadow Line, one directed by Georges Franju for television, which I've discussed before on this channel, and the other was directed by the great, wholly legendary Polish author Andrzej Wajda, which I would like to discuss on the channel one day. The Duelist is a great watch, and whilst it might not quite compare to Ridley's very best work, it would ultimately stand as one of his best films overall, across a career spanning now 6 decades. It may not be as intimidatingly legendary as Alien is, or his director's cut of Blade Runner, or of Legend, which I really revere that cut of Legend. I don't know if many others do, but I consider it an insurmountable achievement. The only one I really liked from the 21st century, I think, is, again, the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven. I do like Gladiator to a point. Hannibal is so crazy it kind of has to be seen, though a joke in comparison to both Silence of the Lambs and especially Manhunter. Few films are as annoyingly impressive as Manhunter, in my own view. I'm very fond of the alien mythos, which stemmed from his initial film in general, and so I do kind of like Prometheus and also Alien Covenant a bit more than Prometheus at that. Though I also think that Alien Romulus was the ideal Alien 4 compared with either of those films from Scott, which is disappointing to think about. I want to see Gladiator 2, though. That's gotta be fun. If it is the original film minus the boring pretensions and all the pulpy grandiose stuff, I might like it a fair bit. But yes, The Duelist, a very fine film, probably one of the 100 best directorial feature debuts in the English language. I have very positive feelings about it. I don't have much else of interest to share. Thank you for listening, if you have so.